Hey, what's up, y'all? Back here for another stream coming off of Sunday's win against Tampa Bay. Are the Saints back? Yeah, I don't know about all that, but I mean, it is an interesting way to kind of end the season. You get a win here. I didn't think they were ever going to win this game. I have no idea what to think about the Saints at this point. They just kind of do what they do, and we react. And man, I've never been more wrong about a team. I think my entire time covering the league. I mean, it's just like you never know what they're going to win. You never know when they're going to lose. They play bad in the games they should play good in. They play good in the games they should play bad in. They beat some teams. Well, they beat one team they probably shouldn't. They haven't beat a lot of teams they shouldn't have beat, but they are a hard team to kind of figure out. But, as we said the last time we sat down to do one of these, I told you guys I thought DA was going to be back, just kind of based on some of the stuff I was hearing. I'm 100% convinced that DA is back. I mean, and it really had nothing to do with this win, but I think this win just emboldens that decision. And the idea of this thing falling apart now is just slim to none. You go into the finale, probably not going to have Alvin, probably not going to have, well, definitely not going to have Ramczyk, not going to have Landon Young, not going to have Marcus May, probably not going to have Marshawn Lattimore, not going to have Mike Thomas. I mean, like anything can kind of happen in this game at this point, and there's going to be a way to talk around it. So, barring 50 to nothing loss or something like that, there's just no way that he's going to get fired. So I think we're gonna see DA come back. Defensive staff will probably remain mostly intact. They'll try to get some new players on that side of the ball, some pass rushers with a little more athleticism, maybe another interior defender. Although Brian Brzez's playing really, really well. And I think they'll try to get more athletic on defense, bring back the staff. Offensively, I bet we see a new staff, new offensive coordinator, new coaches. I think that's probably going to be how it kind of plays out. They're going to look outside the organization for that. I'm almost certain. I mean, it would be crazy to kind of just stick with what you're doing. I think you got to turn the page and do something completely new. So if they stick with what they're doing, I think you just bring Carmichael back at that point. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to go outside the organization, try to find an offensive coordinator, maybe look some different places, look in the college ranks, kind of do a search, and then figure out where to go from there and kind of run a whole new offense. Next season and see how it goes. I don't think it'll be Gruden. I think it'll be somebody else. But you never know. Maybe it will be Gruden. But yeah, I don't think that we're gonna see the big time changes. Head coach. I think it's gonna be on the offensive side of the ball, and then they're gonna go from there and see how it works. I mean, I don't know what to think about it at this point. I mean, I feel like this season's been really, really underwhelming. I think there's a handful of reasons to go a different direction, but then at the end of the day, man, like as frustrating as it is, and underwhelming as it is, and disappointing as it is, they are 8-8. I mean, it's just hard to say. And I guess the problem is you look at it and you say, where is this going, and is it going to change course? And I think that's probably the problem is that a lot of people sit back and they look at it and they say it's not going to change course. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. I could see a scenario where you get a killer offensive coordinator, they come in and things work out better and you make the playoffs next year. I mean, there's a scenario where that happens. They're going into the last game of the season with a chance to make the playoffs. Now, granted, schedule's completely different next year. And, I think they're going to lose some players that they want to have around that were a big part of their plans this year. Cause I think you do have to make some changes. So it's just is what it is. I mean, this is this is what it's going to be. A few weeks ago, I thought for sure that it was going to go a different direction, and then they turned around. They had the 3-game losing streak. I thought things were going to fall apart. I'm telling you, the locker room didn't feel good. You were hearing things outside of the locker room that didn't feel good. It just kind of felt like that was the direction it was going, and then poof, they kind of I don't know, figuring things out is kind of strong, but they didn't fall apart completely, and that's what it would have took. It would have took like a wholesale just drop against Detroit. They fought back. It would have taken a wholesale just drop against the Rams. They fought back. Then they won a game. I mean, it just kind of is what it is, and this is where the team's at, and it's gonna be another year of it. So we'll see if an offensive staff changes it. I'm convinced they have to do that. I don't think you can bring it back exactly the same. I won't be able to just like sit here and be quiet. Like if they just run the whole thing back. I mean, I thought it was egregious this year, and then I gave him a chance. I got the quarterback. Was like, all right, OC gets the quarterback. Maybe it gets fixed. And look, I'll say this for Pete Carmichael. Like I do think he's gotten better throughout the season. I think he's admitted his errors. I think he's addressed them. I think he's gotten better. But I just think you got to do something different at this point. Like it's just not good enough, and it almost feels like scapegoating a little bit. But because I think everybody involved in this is culpable, but Like, you got to do something. If you aren't going to do it all, you got to do something. So I think we kind of know they aren't going to change DA. So at this point, it's almost like it's not worth like sitting around screaming about it or whatever. But you do got to change something else. So I think we got to see a new offense next year. But yeah, we'll go through this. We'll answer some questions. Probably hit like 25, 30 minutes. Got up at 6 o'clock. Caught a flight this morning. We're at glasses hours at this point. So yeah, we're going through this, but yeah, appreciate y'all, man. Like the way you guys show up for this every single time is crazy to me. Appreciate everybody that signed up for the website. If you haven't done it yet, just sign up, man. We got a code running 2024, 25% off your first payment. You like these streams, you like the podcast, you like the dot, you like the reporting. Even if you aren't going to read the content, just support the content so that we can create the content you like. Like it is all like financed through that. Like the people signing up for the website, that's how we kind of pay for everything. There are some ads, but that pays like one salary. The rest of the salaries, that stuff's all the website. So we need you guys signing up for it, staying in, and as you build it, you see it grow. Like we're doing more and more. Man, some of the stuff we got planned for next year is crazy if it comes to fruition. Like Jordy's show starts tomorrow. That'll be Jordy Collada. He's bringing his show to our network starting tomorrow. He'll be live at 7 a.m. on the YouTube page. But we got some stuff that I think like we're close, and if it hits, like some of the stuff we're going to be doing next year is going to be crazy. So I'm real excited about that. But yeah, make sure you sign up for the website. The code again, 2024, 25% off your first payment. Just, if you like any of the content, that's how we pay to produce it. The Rock returning on Raw, man. I do not watch wrestling, so I'm biggest positive takeaway from the season. It's a good question. I mean, there's a few of them. I like some of the stuff Ryan Brzee did. I wouldn't put it as like the top positive, but I like the direction of him. I like how he's developed. I like how he keeps getting more and more productive as the season goes along. So that's definitely a good thing. Weirdly, like Olave's production, despite all the adversity, it just kind of emboldens my feelings about him as a player. Like it took him a long time to get on the same page as a quarterback. All the weird stuff happened, and he's still putting up crazy numbers. We saw more contested catches. I think there's more growth needed there, but I think his play overall on that side, man, I thought he was really good. Let's see more positives. I liked how Paulson and Debo, obviously a good one. Some up and down, some down against like the Rams, but overall a really good season. I think he's kind of become the player that we thought he was going to be 2 years ago in camp when we were hyping him, and then he kind of had a weird year, and then this year he's been awesome. Yadam, really good depth. There aren't a lot though. I mean, a lot of things to be positive about just having hit. Carl Granderson's had a solid season. I think he's paid right for what he gives the team. Not a lot though, man. Like not a lot of positives this season. More downs than ups. What happens with contract with player retires? So like, let's say they have no guaranteed money left, but let's say they got a $15 million signing bonus. Let's say $20 million signing bonus, and they retire 1 year into a 4-year contract. So when you get that $20 million signing bonus and you have a 4-year contract, it splits out 5, 5, 5, 5 for accounting purposes. And you can take that out to 5 years total. So sometimes they throw a void year on there and whatever the math is on that 3-point, whatever. But let's just say 4 years, $20 million, you play 1 year on it and you got that 5, 5, 5, 5. When they retire, if there's 3 years left, there's $15 million in guaranteed money on a signing bonus. So you can't get away from that. You have to pay for it. It has to count on your cap. So what happens is if they retire a year into it, $15 million comes up onto your salary cap that year and you have to pay it. And that becomes what we call dead money. So if you're 2 years into it, 10 million, 3 years into it, 5 million comes up. So that's how it kind of works on it. So that money accelerates up to the point and you have to pay it off. So sometimes what a team will do is they'll write in some stuff into a contract just basically to kind of keep it in place. They keep somebody on the books and then they don't officially retire until like after June 2nd. So if you retire after June 2nd, you can split that payment up into 2 years. So like it's not half and half, but like for the easiest way to explain it, like if you had $15 million just for whatever purposes, you could say 7.5, 7.5, and then you can split it up. So you take 7.5 on the cap this year, 7.5 next year. That's what they did with Drew Brees. And typically if you're in a friendly situation with the player, they'll lower. So what they'll do is, so like if you have a base salary, say a guy's retiring, they have a $10 million base salary. and you're trying to clear cap space like the Saints always are. So you would have to carry that $10 million on the cap until June 2nd. Then they retire on June 2nd, and you can split up the signing bonus proration. Then that $10 million would go away if it's not guaranteed. So that money goes away, and then you just have that proration. So like what they'll do is like someone with Drew when he did it, he signed a contract basically lowering his base salary all the way down to just like, the league minimum. So we can stay on the books until June 2nd. That cleared the cap space, and then they still got the bonus of doing it that way. And the reason we thought Mike Thomas was gone last year is because he did the same thing with his contract. He got a signing bonus. He got $1 million to do it. He lowered his thing down. Look, I mean, there was a crossroads there where they had to make a decision, both sides, whether they wanted to come back or go apart. It was set up to go apart. It changed course, so that's how that changed. But yeah, that's how they do it. But yeah, when somebody retires, you still have to pay the signing bonus money. I hope all that makes sense. It's kind of in the weeds a little bit, but it's just kind of that proration from the signing bonus. It accelerates up, and you still have to pay it. So let's say, for instance, then I have a feeling people are asking this question because you got some older players on the team. So let's just get one up, a real so yeah, like Cam Jordan just signed his extension. So he has 15, 20, 22, 23 million and some change on there. So if he were to retire after this season, it would accelerate up, and he would have a lot of dead money, $36 million in dead money. Roster bonus would probably go away. I don't know what his base is, but yeah, basically there'd be like $23.2 million in signing bonus proration that would have to be accounted for. So it's just a very tough situation to get out of there. Will Nick Saldivari get a chance to win at left tackle? He's gonna have to compete in camp. I don't think we've seen enough of that yet. But he'll have a chance. Like he'll have a chance to compete, but I don't think you can go into the season counting on that. Would Carmichael, the idea of things clicking at the end of the season, keep him in his job moving forward? I'd be surprised. I just don't think you can do it. I just don't think that you can do it. I don't think that you can just sell, we're doing this again back. It was bad. People started turning on it for no other reason. Like, and it's not like just making change for the sake of change, because I don't think it's been good enough, but like for no other reason, even if you felt like it was just marginally good enough or like touching the edge of good enough and maybe could get better. I just do not think that you can sell it back. I don't think you can run it back. Uh, just yeah, the sorry, turn on text real quick. Yeah, I just don't think they can run it back. I think they got to make a change. What are the percentage that Mike and Lattimore are back if they do make the playoffs? I think it might be more likely that Mike comes back than Marshawn, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't think we're going to see either of them again. I don't think they're going to make playoffs. I mean, like, there's just too much that has to happen. Um, I just don't think it's gonna. I just don't think that I just don't think they're gonna make it, and I don't think that we see him again. I just again though, I think it's more likely we see Mike than Marshawn at this point, just given them where things are at. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to put a percentage on it. I'm trying to figure out the number, and I don't. I just don't have it. Why should fans have long-term optimism with this organization right now? I don't think you should have long-term optimism or optimism about the organization right now. Just keeping it real. Like what is you got Shaheed, you got Olave Brzee. A lot of the rest of the team is older. The coaching staff, well, it's definitely possible they could play better next year and build up optimism right now today, January 1st, 2024. There's not a lot to hold on to right now to say like these are the things, this is why. Like, no, I mean, I just don't think that a lot of the young players have hit the way they wanted them to hit. I think a lot of them are like good enough, but like, they haven't ascended into being pillars. Like, I think like Pete Werner, like was somebody I thought was going to be a pillar. I don't know that it's become that. So I mean, like some of these things just aren't there. You have Eric McCoy and kinda in Caesar and just kinda really nothing else on the offensive line for long term. Um, Defensive line, I don't think really has anything for long term, but beyond Brzee, Grinderson solid. Um, Secondary's got some players, but the safety core is older, and Howden just didn't start in place of he Jonathan Abram started over him, and shout out Jonathan Abram, played a great game, but like if Howden was the foundation, like he's probably locking down that spot. He hadn't yet, so he still could. Obviously, young player, 5th round pick. I think he's exceeded expectations to this point. But yeah, long term, I mean, there just ain't a lot to hang your hat on there in terms of longevity. How many vets get traded cut this offseason? Maybe like 1, like 1, maybe you trade a guy, for a draft pick, and I think you could look at it as if you're, like, buying a draft pick, but I don't think there's gonna be, like, this, like, massive exodus of talent. Like, I don't think they have a lot of bad guys. I just think maybe you let a couple free agents go, and maybe you trade, like, someone like you traded Cooks to get a draft pick that year. Like, I could see that for sure. Um, but I don't think there's gonna be, like, a ton of guys getting jettisoned out of here or whatever. Like, there's maybe like 1 or 2 that could possibly be, but I don't think they're blowing it up or anything like that at this point. And I just don't believe in blowing it up either. That just creates holes that you gotta fill. Like, it really does. Position I hope they take with the first pick. Hoping or think they will, hoping I'm hoping for a quarterback. I wanna see a quarterback, trade up for him. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. I don't think they do it. So realistically, like, within the spectrum of things that I think they're gonna do, I hope a defensive end. Um, they need it, and that's just kinda being selfish too, though. Like, you're cool with tackle either. Like, they take a tackle, offensive tackle, I think that's great. Kinda being greedy with it, but, like, a DN is just more exciting to cover, and if they're drafting someone, hopefully it's a top 15 guy, and again, trade up to go get a better one. Whatever you d I'm, like, so pro trade up right now, and it's probably a bad take because they have so many needs, but, like, the needs that they have, like, you're picking at, like, 15, like, you're probably not getting a great quarterback, you're probably not getting a great DN, you're probably not getting a great offensive tackle. Like, you gotta get up a little bit higher to get those guys unless, like, there's, like, 5 quarterbacks going in the top 10 and it kinda pushes somebody down. But, just being a little bit greedy, I mean, I think those are the spots, and I think you gotta jump up to get one, but I think you can do alright where you're at. We got a good QB, we get in the Super Bowl in the next year. I don't think so. Should Mickey move himself out of GM and let Ireland take over? I've said this before. I think it's a little bit unfair to be that hard on Mickey at this point. Like, give him a chance to write this, but like also, I don't think it would make that much of a difference. Like Mickey, it's a collaborative effort. Buck stops with Mickey. Mickey's built a lot of good teams. I know people like hate the way he answers questions or whatever, and they think that's new, but like the way he answers questions on the radio is how he's answered questions forever. And you can ask Mickey 2 days before the draft about, are you going to draft a cornerback? And he'd be like, we aren't going to speculate, da da da. And then they go draft a cornerback. So like, I don't even think what he says about like the quarterback thing that everybody, I saw that clip, like, and I'm not defending nobody here. I'm just telling you guys, like, from dealing with these people, just kind of how I interpret it because I've had a lot of interactions with them over the last decade or whatever. Um, it's just that's just the way he kind of talks. Like Mickey has been coming at me for a decade about asking, speculative questions, theoretical questions. If this happens, what do you do? Well, that's not real, so I'm not going to answer it. Like that's just kind of what he does. That's how he talks. That's how he thinks, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it's gonna go. It's just like he's not gonna sit there and say we're replacing our quarterback when there's games to play in before they actually do it. Like is saying that then just kind of alienates the player you have. And then what if you can't draft a quarterback? Like, what does that do then? Now you've ruined a relationship. You got a guy like feeling unwanted. That affects his performance. It makes your situation worse. So, like coming out and saying, "Hey, we're going to go get a quarterback," and then also, if you're trying to trade up and you've made a proclamation that you're trying to get one of these quarterbacks, now you pay quarterback tax. Whereas if you're trading up for a tackle, like the tax might be a little bit lower. But if it's a quarterback, you're going up to get them. And then also, if you're announcing that you're going to get a quarterback now in December or January, whatever month it is, when you're trying to do that, someone else can jump you. Like it happened with Mahomes. Like they knew the Saints wanted him. Or if you're sitting there waiting for someone to fall and people are like, oh, they said this and it got a lot of pub, oh, they're looking at a quarterback. We got to get ahead of the Saints. So now you're in a position where someone can't fall to you if you're in a certain spot. So just strategically coming out and being like, we need a quarterback. I think that's a very bad idea. I would love if they did it because it gives me something to talk about and something real to talk about. But also, it's just bad. Like that's not smart. Like it's just not smart to telegraph that because, like, think about it. Like if the Saints went and jumped a team and they announced in December, oh, like the Raiders, the Falcons said they were going to draft a quarterback, and then the Saints go ahead of them and take the quarterback that the Falcons wanted, and then you find out that's the quarterback the Falcons wanted. You'd be like, damn, that was really dumb for the Falcons to say in December they were drafting this quarterback because that told the Saints they needed to move up 2 spots to get Jaden Daniels. So, like, it's just not smart to do it that way. So, like what he's saying on this radio show, like I feel like is gets way too much attention. I listen to it and I think about how you guys think about stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably extremely frustrating. As a reporter, kind of getting shut down on these questions, it's like you could just answer this. It's extremely frustrating. Some of them, it's like, yeah, it'd be dumb if he answered that for sure, like I just said. But like, yeah, I get it. But yeah, I think Mickey should get a chance to clear this out. And I think if Mickey were to step away, like I said, I'm not necessarily sure if they stayed in the building that it would be Jeff, like there's multiple good options. So, look, I think if Jeff's ever going to leave too, this is the offseason that it happens. I mean, like there's a few spots where that look like they could be opening up. If he's going to get the chance to leave, I think it's going to happen this year. So we'll see how that all goes. If just obviously like if Denver gets rid of their GM, that's a spot I'm going to be looking, and there's a few others. So I could definitely see him getting an opportunity at some point, and I think he absolutely deserves it. I just don't know that it's like at a point where it's like Mickey needs to take himself out of the equation. Like I think he should have the opportunity to fix this. I think by not making a change at head coach this year, this is the opportunity to fix it. So like now you're choosing this path. I think you got to fix it, and I think that's what you kind of judge him on is like kind of what happens moving forward. They're in a weird spot. Sean leaves. You think you can keep it together? Okay, clearly you can't. So what do you do? Okay, you're keeping the coach. All right. So now you're going to change the staff. Cool. You're going to get different players in some spots. Cool. Get it all done because this is what you're getting judged on now. Will they draft a QB in the first or second round, or does DA coming back eliminate that idea? I think they're going to. You look if they had the right opportunity to get a QB, I think they go get one. I just don't know if that's like top priority in the first, but like if the right guy's there, like it's not even about DA at that point. Like DA ain't making that decision. Like Mickey is making that decision. So like going back to the last question, like those are the decisions you got to make. Like if you're deciding to keep this guy, like you still got to look out for the long term prospects of the franchise. And if like JD's sitting there, Jaden Daniels is sitting there, I think you got to take him. So yeah, I mean, I think the door's open to it for sure. What do you think we do with Taysom? I think you have to lower his $10 million base salary considerably. Like, I don't think you can pay him $10 million next year to do what he does. I think he's a great player. Should absolutely be here, but like, there has to be some type of willingness to take a little bit. Maybe you guarantee more money and you take some off the top, and you guarantee more money over the next 3-4 years or something. Add a couple years to it, whatever. Lower those base salaries, but like, you can't pay him $10 million next year for what he does. They have to upgrade at safety. Yeah, I think they should try to get another safety for sure. I think the safety's been solid. I mean, I think Tyron's still really good. May's been all right. Like, but I think you need to get somebody else back there for sure. It's time to get like another player in there that can kind of you start that transition too, and that's a spot just the way they play. Like I think your safety play has to be really good, and like people have to be like incredibly solid in those positions. How about will salary cap be next year? They're 37 million over. The last time we did one of these streams, like, and I don't know how long we talked about it, 5, 6 minutes. Like, I got him $30 million under the cap, and it was just doing it basic. Like, you can go even harder and probably clear up even more money. So yeah, what is it about Da that makes him think he should be the coach? Like, I think they just, I think he's got him to 8-8. You know, I mean, I just think they don't think that it's time to change it. I think that they feel like they can keep building this and figuring it out around him. We're gonna find out. I mean, either they're really right or they're really wrong. Because I don't think that I just I think it's either gonna work next season or it's not. Like, and it's gonna be clear either way. I just hope like at the end of the year it isn't like just the same thing where you're sitting here like they probably should have done something, but they aren't. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just hope everybody's kind of like, all right, like that ran its course or it really got better. And I think it has to be one of the two. And if it's not to the right, I think you just got to do something different. But like, I don't know, man. He's 8-8. Like, I really can't answer that question. Like, that's something that we're gonna ask him at the end of the year. Somebody else comments on it. We ain't getting into that. Where do we really go from here, win or lose? Look, like I said, I think they go forward with DA and they change the offensive staff. I really think that's all it is. I think that's what you're gonna see. Um, let's go through a couple more of these. How do you think they'll fix the O-line in the offseason? I think they got to draft one and sign one. I mean, it's an immediate situation though, and I think Pete probably ends up staying. I think they were trying to get rid of him. I think that's how it ends up working. Can they go after top free agents? Yeah, they can go after top free agents. They can make the math work for sure. Who are you looking for them to target in free agency or the draft? I'm not there yet. Still just I don't really start doing my work on that stuff until like after the season. January is kind of like the autopsy on the season. Just as far as the coverage, February you start getting into the draft. Senior Bowl time really start getting into the draft. So like late January. So like for our coverage plan this offseason, we're gonna go Senior Bowl. We'll have everybody out there. We'll do Super Bowl. Me, Brooke, and Brandon will be out there doing our shows from the Super Bowl. Um, then we got the combine. Then it's the owners meeting. So like we'll be busy the whole offseason doing all the stuff, covering everything. But yeah, like it's usually like autopsy of the season, January, late January, start shifting towards the draft. Draft is kind of, all through February. Um, Shift over to free agency in March. Focus kind of becomes that. Then it's kind of back to the draft end of March. See what pieces they need. Picture starts coming together. April, all that. So I mean, it's too soon. I'm not. I don't even. Like I'm studying the Saints every week, like breaking down all these guys from college. Like it's something that comes a little bit later in the offseason for me. And we're still in season. I feel like Sean and Ireland hate each other. Sean and Ireland do not hate each other at all. All right, let's get one more here. One more good question. Is Alvin thinking about leaving because they're not using him correctly for him to have better stats? Alvin's under contract, so it's not even up to him really. Like Saints control his situation. So either even if he were like say Alvin wanted to go, like Alvin's never gonna be toxic like that. Like he's just not that guy. Like Alvin, I think we all saw how frustrated he was every time he talked, did media, spoke out about things, the problems, the issues, the stuff that needs to change, and then go out and play hard as hell. Like it didn't matter. Like I don't think he's that guy that's gonna quit on his team. I know everybody likes to read his body language and everything, but like every time he carries the ball, it looks like he's running hard. So I don't think that's an actual concern. I don't think that's something that's actually gonna happen. So I think I think no matter what, like Alvin's gonna go out, he's gonna play hard because that's what Alvin does. Like as frustrated as he gets, I don't think it matters. I think he's gonna do his job, and he's gonna do his job as well as he can. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Hit the 30 minutes. We'll probably do another one of these later this week at some point. Appreciate you guys. Again, if you are signed up for the site 2024, use the code 25% off the first payment. If you like these streams, all that stuff. That's how we do it. That's how we pay the bills. So appreciate y'all's support. We got our show Wednesday. We'll be live from PJ's on Friday. Game coverage, all that. Everything you need. Film study coming out tomorrow. Jordy Collider show premieres on our network tomorrow at 7 a.m. A lot of cool stuff happening. Appreciate all you guys. Hope you have a great new year, and stay safe out there.